Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. What started off as an easy Sunday morning became a very difficult afternoon, and I am looking forward to talking about it with you all. I wanted to welcome all of you in the comments and a warm welcome to my cast here so far. Grizz is on the way, the diva that he is. Krish, how we doing, man?
I'm all good, man. All good. Hoping I can put more effort into this pod than the boys put on the pitch on Sunday. So, decent start.
Yeah, I understand completely. Fahi, you look deep in contemplation. What's happening?
Just trying to work out how many points we actually need for top four. But I'm sure we're going to discuss this in due course. And other than that, man, I'm all right. Listen. Sunday was a bit of a blip. We're going to get into it. But other than that, I'm healthy. I'm good. It's a Wednesday. No real football on. You've got Chelsea versus Villa right now. We thought it'd be a good time to kind of, chat to the people.
Yeah. And I guess with the people I can see Hifzur Rahman is active. Conroy is active. I mean, guys, let's talk a bit about Liverpool. We're going through it right now in the depths of a title race. But let's talk a bit about how it all started. So first question to the comments. What year do you remember the first match you watched? And if you can remember what game was it? So, Fahi, let's come to you first. What year are we talking? And do you remember what match you were watching that really kind of affected your choice of supporting Liverpool?
The first Liverpool game I ever watched was the Coca-Cola Cup final. So you can work out yourself. That was in 95 versus Bolton. Mm-hmm. That was the first game. I remember watching the highlights from the evening. No, we were watching it and then watching the highlights again in the evening on ITV. McManaman scored. It was a 1-0 game. That was the first ever experience I had watching Liverpool on TV and kind of remembering football.
Did you have a lot of football going on around you? Was it something you kind of found for yourself?
No. There was always football around me, man. So much football around me. Even the 94 World Cup. I briefly remember it because I remember my cousins and uncles watching it, but I can't remember the actual games. But I remember Italy. I remember the penalty shootout. I remember all that kind of stuff. But I can't properly remember how I felt or anything. But 95 was the first time I remember proper feeling it and celebrating when McManaman scored and all that stuff. And that was because, again, I was only watching that because I got forced into watching it. So, again, I'm a Liverpool fan because my family forced me to become a Liverpool fan, like many of us. We didn't have a choice. But, hey, we're glad that was the case as well.
Yeah, I hear you. I was probably similar in that sense. Krish, what about you? Obviously in a different part of the country, but no less kind of, immersed. I would say you are you have the best kind of photos and memorabilia of Liverpool out of a lot of the people I know, certainly out of the Kopend guys. So what about you? How did your kind of love affair with this team begin?
All because of my dad, really. Obviously, my dad's from Liverpool, been a fan all his life. I can vividly remember my first game. I think it was 97. It was Derby at home. So yeah, that's the first game I remember. But football, it's one of those things, isn't it? You just kind of you get introduced to it at a young age, and I think as you hit 6 or 7, you kind of see everyone's enthusiasm around it, and you kind of get enveloped in that, really.
Was there a particular player that really kind of resonated with you?
Fowler to begin with, and obviously when Owen broke through, that's kind of like my guy. Growing up, so it was painful, obviously, when he left in 2004. I was taking his posters down off the wall. It was that heartbreak there, and that really should be your first note. Not to love the players, really. You should be the club first, player second. But we're in this game to get hurt again. As Farky says, I'm sickened but curious. So it's one of them ones.
Yeah, and chat, I want to hear from you guys. These guys are sharing theirs. Some of you will be different ages. Some people will be in their early 20s, maybe some teens. Let us know. Everyone's journey starts somewhere. It's not a hipster thing of who remembers the oldest game and that means you're the biggest fan. Not at all. I remember seeing some Liverpool fans saying that the 2013-14 race was their big introduction into the team, and sure, it makes sense. It was 10 years ago now, so it doesn't surprise me at all. But I guess for me, I should share mine as well. It's so weird. I did not have a lot of I had a lot of sport played, but there wasn't like football that was followed as such. A lot of days in the park, a lot of playing. But then I used to have this one. Being an Asian, your uncles are somehow the same age as you sometimes. So my mom's cousin was, just a few years older than me, and he loved Liverpool. And the weirdest bit was the first player he got me obsessed with was Didi Hamann. And I don't know why, but it created a love for defensive midfielders that probably exists to this day. Also obsessed with Sami Hyypiä, understandably so. I remember the way I look at Van Dijk and Konate now is the way I felt about Hyypiä and Alonso. And I don't think Hyypiä and Alonso are deserving of such accolades, but I remember used to feel feeling like they were so invincible. So yeah, tallest 93, 2001. Obviously the amazing, the kind of quads we're attempting at the moment. So I completely hear it, and that must have been a memorable year. But yeah, in terms of an unconventional player, I think I know Fahi's one, but let's start with you, Krish. In terms of that early period where you were falling in love with a team, was there like a random player that you loved for no reason at all?
Patrick Berger.
He was sick though, to be fair. But what was it about Patrick? But I know you're left-footed, so was it a bit of that as well?
He had that rudimenting, behaviour to him, really. I think one of the first things I remember about football was 96 World Cup, and he was really kind of not 96 World Cup, 96 Euros. And he was really good in that competition. He was one of the players that I could remember. Obviously, when we signed him, later on, he still had that magic. He's just we didn't have many wingers in that period of time that were actually any good. So him kind of performing the way he did, and just the impact he always had on the pitch, he'd be one. And I think the other one might be Jari Litmanen. Oh
yeah, he obviously came when he was ancient to us.
Yeah, because this is one of the ones where you first kind of got that thing where my dad was like, "Oh, back in my day, he was a player. Like when years ago, he was like one of the great players. In those Ajax teams and stuff like that." Obviously, we got the watered down version. We got the older version of him, who was still impactful off the bench. So, kind of your first introduction to a super sub, really.
Yeah, I hear it. Litmanen's a great one, to be fair. What about you, Fahi?
Well, you said you have a feeling So tell me who you would think, because you said you have a weird feeling.
I feel like, unprovoked, you will mention Rob Jones at any given opportunity.
No, but he obviously flipping hell. The way people talk about Rob Jones is insane. He must have been again, I was super young, right? But he must have been a proper baller, because the way they talk about how he was robbed of a career, and based off obviously what you look at and what you see historically, he must have been robbed of a career. So Chris said Patrick Berger. I'm going to say Danny Murphy. I was a huge...
It's almost like his Liverpool career isn't talked about. He did really well at Fulham and places like that. It's almost like he's not really considered a key Liverpool player. What was it about Danny Murphy?
Because he was the first one that kind of showed me that you don't need to be super quick and skillful to get stuff done. He was really intelligent on the ball. And then if you notice, the moment obviously Murphy left the club and Rafa kind of kicked him out, it's interesting. Obviously, Rafa's style of football kind of got implemented at Liverpool, and you started seeing the number 10 and, players in pockets of space being really good technically and all that stuff. And then you think back and you think Murphy would have been perfect for that. Why was he never allowed to stay and kind of show what he's good at for Rafa? But yeah, Danny Murphy was the one. And obviously the goals against United, the free kick, the penalty, how can you forget that? He had a lovely...
Very good in that 2001 season as well, right?
Yeah, he was really good. And then obviously when he went to Fulham as well, he was fantastic. He was the reason they got to the UEFA Cup final. So he's a player I really do rate.
What about you guys? What about you guys in the comments? Who's a random Liverpool player that you kind of fell for? We've got Fazer there, who's saying that he started supporting Liverpool around 2009. when we played Atletico. So that was probably 09-10. So that was the year.
That was UEFA Cup, right?
Well, it can't have been, only because 08-09 we finished second.
No, it was 9-10, wasn't it? When we got knocked out the Champions League.
Yeah. We went out early, didn't we? So
yeah.
So who was in that Atletico team 09-10? Diego Forlan.
Yeah, Forlan and
not Shimao.
It would have been like,
because they played Fulham in the final, didn't they?
Yeah, Simao was in that team.
Okay, but the Shimao game where he knocked us out was in the 06, the year after we won the Champions League.
That was 05-06, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, Forlan and Aguero was what FaZe was saying.
Yeah.
Nice, I hear that. And
shall we ask Grizz? He's going to go back to like 1920, isn't it?
Grizz,
go on.
Tell us how you felt when Shankly left.
What was the news? Some ageist jokes coming along.
Now, Grizz, we're having a great.
I join in and I see Forlan, right, being spoken about. And what's going on?
Yeah, we've got some great contributions there. Grizz, what we're talking about is kind of, firstly, what kind of year or game do you remember as the first Liverpool game that you actually
saw? Oh, you're mad.
Team? Okay. And then secondly, who was your favorite player at that time? And last but not least, who is a random player in that early time that no one really rated, but you for some reason loved?
Can I make a prediction? Grizz is definitely going to shout out John Barnes.
Yeah.
He's the reason. He's the reason, man. That's what Liverpool. He's
always.
The reason. As soon as he joined from Watford, basically my first memory, like very vague memory was, and I didn't know about football, I didn't know about Liverpool, I didn't know nothing, was what's it called? The 86 Cup final.
Okay.
So but obviously, it's on BBC One those days, right? So that's where you
tell us, Uncle, you tell us.
Yeah, well, there you go. It was on BBC One those days.
But that was the time where the final was kind of all-day coverage, right?
All-day coverage. So when exactly. So as a kid, all you do is you wake up and you see FA Cup coverage, FA Cup coverage, and then obviously from there I fell in love, and then that team we formulated in '87 with Barnes, Beardsley, and
Aldridge is coming.
Aldridge, 87. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I think it's about 87 we formulated that team. But yeah, man, that's my first earliest memory. And then obviously John Barnes joins Liverpool, and then
who was like a random player, wasn't like the big
star. Does it have to be Liverpool?
Yeah. As in for that around that time. Doesn't have to be that specific.
Beardsley, man. I mean, I don't know if that's like not anybody, but Beardsley was. I know he's turned out to be a prick, and he's a bit of a racist and all that now. Like it's been found.
It was a different time.
Like, apparently, he's a mad racist now or something. It's been proved. Like no one likes him. That's why you never hear him talked about.
You never see him anywhere.
Never see him anywhere. You get it? But he was a fucking. One of those ones where you think, I wish he was a nice guy, man. Because he was such a baller, guys. Such a baller.
You know what? Beardsley used to ball out and Masters football. You know, on Sky Sports, they used to do Masters football.
Oh, yeah.
Beardsley used to be so sick at Masters football. He'd always ball out.
He would have been perfect in today's false nine era, man. Those little boxes around the corner.
Bro, Beardsley was mad. So what, you lot remember Beardsley a little bit as well, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen the clips, right?
Yeah.
Man.
Beardsley was ridiculous, man.
But let's start then. So thank you very much, everyone. Sorry about that. We went down memory lane a bit, and it's so good to kind of get to know you guys as well, because we got all the way from 2009 to 1986. We've got Dinesh there talking about King Kenny's winning as player manager as well.
No way.
So yeah, awesome. Stevie Nicol is there from Mr. Sia, I think, 2012. Nice. So let's talk about what's been happening in the present, because everything looks awful when you live day by day, and then when you zoom out, nothing's that bad. So we've had a few days to kind of digest what's been happening and how we feel about this game. Grizz, we haven't had the chance to chat about kind of your thoughts. You've had a few days to sit on it. How are you feeling now?
So ultimately, this was down as one of the games that I expected us to drop points. I'm going to be very honest. Call me pessimistic, call me negative, call me a bottom red, call me fucking what you want. I'll call you shit. But this was one of those games that I had it down as we're gonna drop points. I didn't expect us to put in the performance that we did though. So yeah, that was disheartening. Listening to Arsenal fans and watching Arsenal fans is demoralizing since. But ultimately, in the cold light of day, as you said, a couple of days later, we are where we are. And where's that? We're sitting on top of all these crazy, amazing teams and amazing players and amazing managers. We're sitting pretty, whether it's for another week or another 2 weeks. Only time will tell. But right now, again, I know people say expectations should change. Well, yeah, but relatively. So if you told me, and I'm going to say that line again, I know some people don't like it, but it's factual. If you told me, come around mid-February, we're going to be in every competition. We're going to have Southampton in the next round of the FA Cup. We're going to be in a League Cup final against a pretty demoralised Chelsea team. I know they're winning today. And we're going to be ahead of Arsenal, and we're going to be ahead of City. I would have snapped your arms, hands, your whole upper body off.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Phoenix, by the way. What a lovely comment. Thank you. Please keep supporting. Krish, I guess that, my God, I am so happy. I was wearing a Sherwani, mid-Mendy, Bollywood music banging in the background.
Where's the pictures? Let me check your Instagram while you're
Oh,
talking.
brother, you don't want to see. Listen,
there's one horrible picture.
Grizz, if I send you pictures, yeah.
No. I need to see pictures in it.
No.
What's this?
Grizz,
am I not your friend? Am I not?
No, you are.
Is this personal group chats?
No. Grizz,
am
family
I not part
show.
of the family?
Grizz, the picture we're talking about, family show. We can't share it. But
it is nuts. It is wild.
Has he put it on his Instagram? Because he must have posed on his Instagram.
No.
It's a wild picture, Grizz.
Okay.
Grizz, I'll share it with you later. It's wild.
My wife completed a suicide mission.
She's so innocent. She has no idea what she posted.
She had no idea what she posted. She has no idea what she said. So we'll send it to you.
Okay.
But anyway, Krish, I was delighted that I actually wasn't part of what was a conversation where you would have thought Liverpool were getting relegated, suffered a 20-point deduction, and had to sell the entire team the way the Kopend chat was going. Has everything derailed as much as was made out straight after that game?
Of course, that gave you the insight. Everton fan, good God, it's just a minor blip, isn't it? Really, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, that one performance in the overall cinema that is this season is the blip. It is the anomaly. That game is going to happen at one point, where we do have that performance, especially the first half. First half was just terrible. You're always going to have that, but it's all about how you weather the storm. And ultimately, we did get it to 1-1. But ourselves, we've kind of shooting ourselves in the foot in the second half with, just the individual errors. That's what led to it. And Grizz was right, man. The way Arsenal fans were going on, you would have thought it was some tactical master plan of how they came out, they overcame the odds, got all these 3 points. It's like, no, we basically gave you them. Literally, we gave you these 3 points. But it is what it is. We have to hold that. And all we can do is go out on Saturday and absolutely batter Burnley and just kind of say, we're serious, we're here. And we're going to keep doing what we do.
Yeah, and do you know what? I hear that. I think a big thing, Fahy, a big thing that's kind of disappointed a lot of us, I guess, Grizz, Krish have both touched on it, which is sometimes you can play well, and then eventually when everyone does as well as they can, if there's certain personnel missing, that might be the difference you don't achieve. But we didn't even achieve minimum standards. So what was it about those senior players on the pitch that they actually didn't live up to the standards that they've maintained for about 6 weeks continuously?
Yeah, number one, I'd like to say it was men versus boys, right? And that's okay. We had a bad day. We had a bad day on Sunday. It is what it is. Arsenal were the better team. So I know there are ops watching this and all this kind of stuff. I'd like to say Arsenal were the better team. They did deserve the win, right? I think what happened from my perspective, if I'm looking at it, when you assess what happened 48 hours before the game, right? You had obviously Conor Bradley being taken out of the team. Now apparently he was going to start. Yeah. You had Szoboszlai, who then came up with the injury. Again, he would have started. You're looking at the way they would have set up for the game, and it's like, okay, so that's two changes, both on the right-hand side. That's like completely impacted now. So you're going to have to bring Trent in. Trent isn't fully fit. He's going to have to play 60 minutes. Midfield-wise, you're going to have to bring in someone else who we're going to definitely speak on. And I just think it just impacted the flow of what we were going to try and do. Now, that's not to say if Bradley would have started and Szoboszlai would have started, it would have been any better for us. But all I'm saying is that rhythm that we had with the team was completely missing again. Because obviously versus Chelsea, you saw how they were flowing. The boys seemed like they knew each other. Bradley was purring down the right. Szoboszlai was back to his best, energetic runs and all that kind of stuff. And we missed his energy in midfield on Sunday. We missed a right back doing right back things on Sunday. Again, we're going to have a discussion on that too. But yeah, that's what I think ultimately what it was. Obviously, Arsenal were the better team. Arteta, I know Krish kind of said that, you know, we kind of handed it to them. But I would say that Arteta did set up the team really well. But yeah, it was just one of those days. And what I would say is that the reason why I was able to sleep okay that night is because we lost deservedly. Now, that's not to say I don't mind when we lose. It's more a case of usually when Liverpool lose games, it's a screw job. It's VAR. It's something. That wasn't the case on Sunday. We just weren't the better team. Now, in 38 Premier League games in a season, you can't expect Liverpool to be the best team on the pitch. There are going to be some games where we're just not good enough. And that was one of those games.
Yeah, I hear it. And I guess I've got to probably communicate how I feel about this. And I've actually been very at peace with this because my big worry would be the way we're trying to see out the season. I would be worried if there was a pattern forming in something we're doing badly. But for me, if you don't defend properly, you don't attack properly, you don't create properly, you don't pass properly, you don't cover space properly, there will not be another game where every aspect of a football match will not be done correctly. Doesn't mean that every game we're going to be swashbuckling in attack. Doesn't mean every game we're going to defend properly. But one side should cover the other side, which is what we've seen this season. I genuinely think we cannot be that bad in all aspects of a football match again. And I'm very happy that it happened at a ground where it had a big impact against someone we're directly competing against, because I'm hoping it creates the right kind of effect. But let's get into some player performances, because I can see that the comments are about it.
People are purring, man. People have come to run.
You know what? I don't even want to complicate it. Let's go straight into the players that people want to talk about. I want to talk about a player that I've been told I've been harsh on. Sometimes I am too harsh on him. Sometimes I feel like people like the concept of this player. It's Ryan Gravenberch.
Did I get the right comment? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. You literally, as I was talking, you put the right comment up, because I kind of mentioned a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, that he doesn't pass well because the ball gets stuck in his feet. But other people are complaining about different things. I mean, Krish, you're a man who's normally very astute with the numbers as well. From the eye test, at least, it looks like a guy who doesn't seem to know when to cover spaces. A guy who doesn't look too intense at the moment. What are you seeing with Gravenberch that's disappointing you?
Everything at the moment. I mean, let's be real. And that probably does sound harsh, but I'm one of his bigger fans.
He's a huge fan. Chris is a huge fan.
Been a fan for a while, and I think you're just seeing a player that he is both low on confidence in his ability to execute what's needed from a midfielder in a Klopp team, and someone who again hasn't had a full preseason under his belt.
Can I ask you a question just as you're continuing? Are other players in this team, in terms of, even if I use Endo, for example, McAllister, even Conor Bradley to a degree, some of them have had tough starts, some of them are completely new. Why is it, do you think, that other players have kind of rode the momentum wave that we've kind of been building, whereas Gravenberch seems to not jump on to the same wavelength as everyone else?
So you saw it earlier in the season, so that momentum really did carry him. You know, obviously the shorter appearances, the good stuff off the bench.
Yeah, Europa performances as well.
Yeah, the Europa performances, that was all good. That was all gravy. And I think the difference is obviously with your McAllisters and your Endos, they're older footballers. They've been in these situations before where they've had to turn up, and they've got the their experienced football IQ, so they know it's taken them a little bit of time to get up to speed, but they're more experienced pros. The big thing with Gravenberch is as well. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he's not played a meaningful season of football for almost 2 years. So that's going to take its toll. He's still young in his development, and I've got confidence he'll get there. But when we're in that clutch period of the season now, where every game counts, and it's not like every other game counts. It is every game at this point. You need to be switched on, and you need to deliver, no matter how difficult the task is. And he just hasn't been up to that in the past few weeks. So he needs to hold that. He needs to firm it. He needs to stay on the bench. He needs to keep doing whatever he does behind the scenes, whether that be, extra sessions on the iPad, getting a tactical IQ, realizing where these pressing triggers are, what space he needs to cover when, either the fullback's going forward or, the winger's kind of coming back. And he just needs to adapt, man. But that being said, he might be in a more beneficial situation in the summer when a new manager comes in, or he's going to be in an even more perilous situation in the summer when a new manager comes in, because it might be harsh. He could be on the chopping block. We don't know.
Yeah, that's so interesting because, I mean, Grizz, ultimately, I think Chris is completely right. We're talking about a 20-year-old kid. I'm not here writing off careers or anything like that. But ultimately, whether he likes it or not, someone like Szoboszlai is trying to get back into fitness. We've got other players who aren't available for various reasons. So he's going to have to play. So if he can't play at his best, what are the minimal things that you want to see as a non-negotiable that you expect from him to at least be passable every game?
It's the usual, isn't it? That's the frustrating part, and I'm total agreement with pretty much what everything Chris said. So I'm a fan of his ability, but I've always been a massive critic of his work rate and his urgency, intensity, basically. I think the guy's got, he's one of those guys that you think, wow, how much talent has he got? How much he oozes class every time he touches a ball, turns on the ball, but he's off the ball. Now, I think Chris raised, the thing about this new manager and new coach. I think that's absolutely vital in what type of coach we're bringing in, because you got to remember, not many coaches in world football demand the intensity and the work rate that Jurgen Klopp demands. Different coaches require or demand different attributes or different skill sets from their midfielders. So, for example, for argument's sake, if Xabi Alonso were to come in, is he so big on counter-pressing? Is he so much on off-the-ball work as opposed to on-the-ball work, as opposed to shorter passes, which I know you criticize his passing, and I agree with you again as well. I think he's awful long-range passer, but his short passing can be good, not elite, not great. So if Alonso requires his midfielders to be predominantly short passes, then it could work in favor of him.
But Grizz, let me ask you something. As you're saying this, let me ask you something. We're talking about a manager who currently manages at Liverpool, who is renowned, and we have seen firsthand, for maximizing and squeezing everything out of a player's capability, and also very protective of his players, right? It's a family atmosphere. Klopp will take all the brunt so the players don't get the criticism. How is it that someone like Ryan Gravenberch isn't flourishing with such a supportive manager?
I just think it's a game of patience with him, man, guys. I'm as frustrated as you, Mush. I was on that show where you was critical of him. And I'm very frustrated with him. As soon as he was in the lineup, I knew it could be long day. Because I knew Arsenal's intensity would be triple what they've shown in other games, because it was a must game for them and their midfielders. And the way they play the midfield, I knew they're going to set up with every team. By the way, guys, every team's going to set up like pretty much whoever's got the personnel is going to set up with 2 6s and 2 10s as a box midfield against us every time, possibly even without a striker. And that's how they're going to play with us. And it's up to us to deal with it. We didn't deal with it. As soon as I saw him, someone mentioned earlier on, him on the right side, revamped right side, no Szoboszlai. Obviously, we're used to playing the young lad, Connor Bradley recently. He plays it totally different from Trent. Trent's been playing it totally different to how he played it, how he's been playing it for the last 18 months. It was a recipe for, in my opinion, for disaster. And that's how it turned out. That right side was add to that Gakpo on the right wing. Gakpo,
we'll get to that as well. We'll get to
Gravenberch. It was and I think more so to do with Gravenberch, I think we've been very praiseworthy and of course rightly so of Jurgen Klopp. In my humble opinion, a lot of that goes on to Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders for the way they set us up with the personnel that they had at their disposal, because they know their personnel, they know their skill sets and strengths far better than us. And us laymen are pretty much nailing what happened. They should have seen that coming as well. I get Gravenberch needs to do 190%. I agree with he has to do better. But for this one-off game, you know, maybe Jurgen Klopp could have played someone else or played it differently. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's interesting. Paseo, if someone shares that, Paseo mentioned a good point, which was,
why are you in the studio? This is what I mean about you, innit? Just want to do the easy life, innit? You just want the easy life. Just like,
what do you mean? I just do what
King,
I do. Man.
Lord of the Manor, just, you know. Director, yeah. Sherwani wearer.
Yeah.
You know? Chief Sherwani wearer.
Mate, when you see that picture, you'll think of different. But in terms of what Paseo said there, I mean, Fahi, I've been holding on because I want to see what you've got to think about this, because we're talking about Gravenberch as a project. No one will disagree. You don't sign a 20-year-old to expect him to produce straight away. But the fact that he's being allowed to play in these games, even though he's underperforming, and he's given constant chances, is Klopp still doing the whole transition thing, even though we happen to find ourselves top and we want to win this league? Do you think he's trying to do both at the same time?
Transition thing in what sense?
In the sense of, we might, for example, want to see more consequence for not playing well, right? Like, for example, maybe Elliot starting ahead of him because Elliot's got more cash in the bank or something. Yeah. Do you think Klopp's still in kind of I'm still developing this team and they deserve development minutes, even though we find ourselves top?
Well, he's insane if he's doing that. I'm not going to lie. I really don't understand how Gravenberch is starting games. And listen, I understand he's a project. I get he's missed a year of football. I've said this many times on this channel, on many podcasts. I've literally been repeating myself for the past 13 weeks. Yeah. But I don't understand how he is starting games.
Would you played Elliot ahead of him then?
100%.
What is Gravenberch doing? What is Gravenberch doing to not play Elliot?
The only reason I agree with you guys,
and that's not me saying that Elliot fucking deserves to start. All I'm saying is I'd start him ahead of Gravenberch right now.
What would be your justification, Chris?
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, I just put the question out there, who else is available?
The thing is, Grizz, right now, he's bigger than Elliot, but he doesn't even have the physicality to justify
This is what I was going to come to. This is what I was going to come to. Again, in my opinion, the only reason Elliot didn't start is because of Nunes not starting and because of Szoboszlai not being available. Suddenly our midfield comes a bit midgety. Yeah? And they're a big fuck-off team, and their set pieces are phenomenal. Yeah? And I actually think, incorrectly, I think Gravenberch was just meant to, and I know we're going to argue, and I know you guys are going to say, but he's not physical. He was meant to be in the team for his height on set pieces as one of the factors of picking him. No, I'm not saying that it's the factor or the right factor. I think, because it would have left us with McAllister and Elliot in midfield, and they do play for set pieces, Arsenal. I know they play brilliant football, but they do play for set pieces.
And do you know how insane it is that you, as a £40 million midfielder, are only being picked because of your height?
Now, just think about what you just said.
That's what happens when you don't show any quality on the ball, though.
But just think about what you just said, Grizz. You've tried to justify why he started, and I'm not like blaming you for what you've said, because you're probably right. but the justification is because he's 6'2" or whatever the hell he is. That is scary to me. Like,
Blade says,
what I don't go on.
Blade says, how's Grav going to get used to the Premier League if he doesn't get games?
But
I
that's
agree.
the
I
question.
agree. But the frustration is because we're in the heat of the battle.
Same. We're in the title race.
We're
He
in the
can
title
get
race.
used to it. He can get used to it next season when there's a completely new structure and there won't be these expectations. This is not work experience time. We need people to really be coming in and doing stuff. I don't mind who that is. It's not the time for us to have favorites right now. It's just the time for us to really be pushing through on that. But talking about favorites, someone who has very few favorites apart from a beloved Yak, Krish, it's a certain Dutch player that I would say polarizes opinion because we hear about cold finishing, we hear about
It's
touch,
this one, isn't
we
it?
hear about turn. I don't know what I'm seeing at the moment, but you tell me. Cody Gakpo, what is the assessment of Cody Gakpo right now?
Listen, I saw that guy get battered up by Zinchenko physically, so I don't know what to think at the moment. I'm really struggling with him, and I think he's having a bit of a tough time when he's starting at the moment. I don't think he was given any favors by his starting position on the right hand side. I don't know why he didn't start on the left and DS play on the right. It just would have been a bit easier.
Yeah, he's been playing well on the right as well, might we add.
Yeah, exactly. And you would have thought, tell Diaz, go with some intensity, kind of press the issue with Zinchenko, and then let Gakpo do what he does on the left. He can carry the ball a bit more from that point of view. So it's odd, but I've always kind of struggled with Gakpo, mainly because I don't see why we signed him. I don't know what that one outstanding trait is.
Look at Grizz. He's like, I told you so.
No. I hate that. I don't want to be right.
I know. But yeah, I get it.
And we don't want to be right about these things. Everyone we sign, we want to come into the club and we want them to hit the ground running. We want them to be here for 4 or 5 years and just be fantastic for this football club. I don't know what that one outstanding quality that he has that kind of that sets him apart from the rest of the attackers. So even when we're talking about Núñez and we rightfully get on for him for his low goal count, you can see the threat. Our co-host Fahi has been hammering this point home for the past week that we are a substantially better team with Núñez on the pitch in terms of our overall XG and how threatening we look as opposed to Gakpo. And for some reason, I don't know why Yak hasn't been able to get that. But the Gakpo thing is just so... It's weird.
I'm not a fan of Gakpo. Very quickly, for Mush, sorry, and then carry on because I'm itching to come in on this one. I've never been a big fan of Gakpo. Before, I was absolutely... People will know that follow me on my socials. I was so happy that he was linked with United. I was like, oh, shit. I love it. You lot are getting a dead player, right? But his game intelligence has shown me that there is a place in the squad for him. Now, Chris said he doesn't know one attribute. I think you asked the question, what attribute has he got that's elite? Again, from watching him play how many games so far for Liverpool, I think his ball striking is elite. I think he's got a lethal strike on him. You know, when he comes in from the left and shoots, very similar to the goal he scored against United. I think that was his first goal. You know, things like that. I actually think he's a wonderful finisher. But in terms of attacking, efficiency, directness, pace, power, everything that we associate with our forwards in the recent times, he doesn't have that. And that's why we're comparing him to all the forwards that we've had in recent times. And obviously Núñez is continuation of that, Jota, continuation of that, Mane, Salah. Bobby's different. He's not a Bobby Firmino. I know we tried to mold him and maybe we will get better. But Bobby Firmino, again, it's not fair on him to compare him. But after saying all that mush, as I'm not a fan, I've never been a fan, haha, look at me, I was right about Gakpo, he's not all that. I think it's unfair. Okay. I think it's unfair because Jurgen Klopp, again, is playing him in every position through the middle, through up, sometimes left, sometimes right, sometimes a false nine. I think he needs to nail down a place, very much like how Curtis Jones has nailed down a place.
Yeah.
I think Gakpo, we should we should judge him, even though I'm saying, no, let me be proved right. No, we should be judging him when he's nailed down a place. And then if he consistently underperforms, then maybe the criticism is deserved. I don't know what you guys think.
I think one thing that's
this is a great comment.
Is getting. I think Dirk Kuyt was quality, so I don't know.
I love Dirk Kuyt. Dirk Kuyt would freaking run his socks off.
That is a brilliant example.
Dirk Kuyt could collect the ball and do the right things with it. I don't think he was amazing at anything, but and also let's not compare Dirk Kuyt's endless Duracell physicality with Cody Gakpo. At least
he's a young guy, man. Leave him alone, man.
No.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go on.
Can I just say one thing? So Ganto made up a comment that we had a second loss in the season. We're not gunning for scapegoats. We're discussing players that played the game, and you'll see throughout this episode that we're going to discuss a lot of players. So we're not going for scapegoats. I promise you.
Yeah. We'll go through them. And some top players are going to get criticism as well, so don't worry about it.
I mean, look, again, just to pile in on Ganto, because Ganto's so good looking, you know what I mean? We need to sometimes call him out, our Elvis Presley lookalike. Ganto, no one can sit here and be happy, cheery about Sunday's performance. Like, I'm very positive guy, right, when it comes to Liverpool. And you guys see me on Big Six, I defend them with my life. Sometimes I get, potential bans put in place for some of my over-defending of Liverpool. So I'm the first one to defend Liverpool. But no one can sit here and say we were all happy with cheery, it was a great performance, and players have been performing well. No, the couple of players that we picked out haven't been performing brilliantly. And I think it's fair to have a discussion around it. Absolutely no one is saying flog them, sell them, they're finished. We're saying where they can improve, how we see them moving forward, and what maybe Klopp or not Klopp, but future coaches will see in them.
So I think the big thing here that I must kind of, I don't know, maybe add some context here from what we've seen before with other Liverpool players who haven't been great for us, is that in the years gone by, we didn't, because our first 11 was so fit and available all the time, we didn't see a lot of the quality drop off when other players came in, because they came on for very few minutes or had very little say in our season. I think if we saw a lot more of 20 games of Shaqiri rather than 10 or things like that, we would have said the same things about these kinds of players. And I think what's probably harsh is that Cody Gakpo right now is or should be what we had with Minamino or someone like that. Very similar to Minamino when we got to the finals of those cups. Cody Gakpo, leading up to the League Cup final, has scored in every round of the cup. If he had that status in the squad, I don't think we would be too bothered, because we would be seeing him in these games. But what we're seeing instead is, because your Salahs, your Nunez's aren't available, he's playing a lot in high-profile games. So every player is going to believe that they can be a first-choice player. But realistically, I'm trying to take out the fee from my mind. I look at Cody Gakpo as a fourth-choice attacker, fifth-choice attacker, but he should be getting fifth-choice games, not Emirates away. So, yeah, it's harsh on him, but hey, these are the games where the lights are on you most, and if you've got deficiencies, then that's where they're going to appear. But do you guys think you'd be a lot more comfortable with him? I mean, Chris, you've said as well, you don't see the outstanding trait. If he were the kind of player who plays only cup games and is a last 10 minutes player, would you be more comfortable with your expectations of him?
I'd have been comfortable with him if he played off the left. That's the weird thing.
Just in general, basically.
Yeah.
I find that so interesting, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I actually watched Gakpo play on the left for PSV, against Arsenal in the Europa League the year before he joined us. And what Grizz is saying about he can come inside and he can get a great shot off. Guys, I'm genuinely saying in 90 minutes, he could not get past his man. He could not beat a footballer. He could not beat them. Maybe a 1-2 to get some space, but he did not have the creativity or the power to kind of leave a player for dead. So I don't know how to deal with that. But let's move on to another player, because like I said, I don't want it to just be scapegoats. Another player that I think deserves criticism, we all think he does, for that performance, even though he's not fully fit, guys, that hour of Trent Alexander-Arnold, I don't know what everyone saw, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Fahi, let's start with you.
I saw that he was treating the ball like a grenade. I saw every time he received the ball, he was whipping it away from himself. I saw a lack of, now, hey, I may be unfair, a lack of desire to run back, a lack of desire to chase his man. I saw not much build-up play with him. I think I just saw a lot of, I'm going to try and play the killer ball now. And it just felt as if, you know, when you're watching like end of the season and it goes to like extra time and you've got players that have got cramp and they don't really want to do too much with the ball, but the moment they receive it, they're just releasing it. That's what I saw from Trent. And I was surprised. And the reason why I was surprised was he played his first minutes back against Chelsea, or was it before Chelsea?
He came on against Norwich.
He even came on against Norwich, right? So Chelsea wasn't his first appearance on the pitch. It was Norwich, then Chelsea. And I would have thought within that week and a half before the Arsenal game, or the week before the Arsenal game, sorry, he would have been able to build up enough fitness to be able to play a good 60-minute game. But he really couldn't. And there has been question marks in the past about his desire when he's up against someone that's going to batter him down that flank, right? And I don't know whether I'm attributing this to the fact that he's just come back off injury and he's trying to get himself fit, and he was probably just doing it for the team, because ultimately, again, according to what we've heard, Conor Bradley was going to start. Or was it just a case of he really wasn't giving a shit and he just knew Martinelli was going to have the better of him, and he just like, oh, okay, Ibu can deal with it. And that's what I'm kind of struggling with. The thing is, the net positive with Trent is what he does with the ball, pause. But ultimately, he didn't do it. So that's why his stinker shines, not shines, it kind of, it shows up more because he wasn't doing anything good.
Well, and that's the problem, right, Chris? We've seen Trent sometimes maybe have a tough day. Martinelli's an intense winger. He'll get past you once in a while, but Arsenal were obviously pressing very well. We saw McAllister have a bit of a tough time, especially in that first half. What was it about Trent that made him not, Trent we've seen this season kind of dictates the pace of the game as well. He decides when we play short, he decides when we play long. Why was he so reluctant to provide quality and possession for the team?
Looked like instruction, to be fair. He wasn't playing the normal inverted role, was he? He was so far wide and he couldn't have an influence in the game. It would have also helped if we had, sustained pieces of possession for him to kind of be involved in. But felt like Gomez was doing the inverted stuff, and obviously he was kind of playing more with more width. So I don't know if that was like just a last-second decision for them to, because of all the injuries and everything that happened, that they just couldn't adjust the game plan in time. But he wasn't as close to the action. And obviously that space that Konate had to cover and the gap between him and Van Dijk, Arsenal were able to exploit that as a result of us not adjusting the game plan. I'm just going to put it down to just a bad day at the office for him. And it's okay for me to, I say it's okay for me to say that. It's weird for me to say that, considering he always has these issues against Martinelli in particular, because Martinelli's quite direct and he's quite physical in how he kind of goes up against Trent as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just an odd game. And I don't think any of that right-hand side being as poor as it was either helped in that case too.
See, I don't know, man. I'm still trying to work it out, because that everything you've said makes sense. But I mean, Grizz, when you play football, or all of us that play football and watch football understand that the more good things I do, my opponent ends up doing the things I make them do, rather than them making me do things, if that makes sense. So if Martinelli's getting the better of me and I'm Trent, if I start doing good things with the ball and I start venturing and showing some quality, that confidence Martinelli had to be free, suddenly he's more conscious of Trent. But it was almost like Trent never gave Martinelli a reason to think, I've got to worry about this guy. Instead, Trent spent all game worrying about him. What was it about Trent on Sunday, that didn't create that desire to impose himself on the game? Because when we think about the Emirates 2 weeks ago, even where Martinelli was, well, Martinelli came on, sorry, Reece Nelson started. Trent had that shot in the first half, hit the bar, creating things non-stop. Why did he not do any of that on Sunday? Is that what you're going for? As simple as that?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Not 100%. Of course, it's never 100% because Klopp didn't tell him to get beat a lot of the time. But like Total Clip says, Mush, we need to put some blame on Klopp. I feel for his tactical setups. Especially like we've said, the right-hand side, guys. That right-hand side, Gravenberch on his side, Gakpo on his side, and Trent. And you could tell he was 75% fit. Absolutely, Martinelli is a pest, and he's a very quick pest, and he's an incessant pest. He don't stop, and he can have a brilliant day against any fullback, even the best defensive fullbacks. Which Trent, I don't think, in a one-on-one duel type scenario, that's his best attribute. But I'm with Krish. What he says about Gomez, that was the biggest blunder in my opinion. I don't know the thinking behind that. Maybe someone else can shed some light in the chat, or you guys. What was the reason of Gomez inverting? Trent hasn't played that marauding wingback role for 18 months. And
was he marauding though? Was he marauding though? Because I felt like
supposed.
he was stuck at right back.
No, 100%. But it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like Bradley's been playing it. Why?
But don't you think Gomez? Don't you think the inverted role, seeing as you have to drop into midfield, it's a lot more fitness required to play the inverted role?
No, I don't think it is. I think the other way around. I think
Really?
I think the Bradley role requires fitness and engine and intensity.
Interesting.
Trent's main attribute is with the ball at his feet. With the ball at his feet, there's no one fitter and more intense than Trent. Suddenly, he's in his own comfort zone when the ball's at his feet. When he's without position, that's when he's the most uncomfortable, as was seen on Sunday. He was so uncomfortable without seeing the ball. He had 14 completed passes, guys. This is Trent Alexander, the great Arnold. Had 14 completed passes. That is a tactical issue. That is a tactical problem, not a Trent problem. Trent completes, every time he gets a pass, Trent will complete it 90% of the time. The fact that he only completed 14 is a tactical setup problem. And this is why my gripe was with Klopp and Pep Linders on Sunday, more so than the players. Of course, the players didn't perform. But yeah, that's...
Are you still critical of his defensive performance then? Because ultimately, if you're 1v1 and you're getting beaten constantly...
He's not good like that. We can defend him how much we want. And we love Trent. Trent's a magnificent football player. But he's an average one-on-one defender. That's what I will say. Overall defensive sort of shape and intelligence, he's fine. But in a one-on-one duel type scenario, he's not great, guys. He's not great. And that's the way it is.
I'm disappointed because he's been much better this season, I guess. That's probably
he has.
Let's move on then. Fahi, I'm going to come straight to you. And I'm just going to say it straight. Virgil van Dijk never lets a ball bounce. So what kind of game was he having to decide that was the way to go?
Well, clearly not a great game, number one. With this ball bounce discussion, this has been mentioned a lot since Sunday. I see this happen in most of our games. The reason why it never gets this... In the sense of one of our centre-backs letting the ball bounce an extra time before they deal with it, right? But because the mistake isn't capitalised on, no one discusses it. But it does happen. Ibu does it. Virgil does it
a lot. But I'm saying, I don't recall Virgil kind of shaping his body away from the ball and start shielding the ball. I normally associate Virgil with pushing the striker and then just going for the ball, surely.
Yeah, usually he does that. But what I'm trying to say is that the error that he made does seem to happen quite a bit with our centre-backs. Like, I see it quite often. So when it gets mentioned, like, it's a real big surprise. Okay, cool. Virgil may usually deal with it the moment it's at his head and he doesn't wait for another bounce. But this time he didn't. Cool. So what do you do next? Okay, so he's trying to usher the ball back into the box. Yeah? What went wrong?
Alisson came rushing out.
You said it, not me. Clearly miscommunication between the two. But
It's not the first
ultimately,
time either. It's not the first time either.
it's not the first time. They've done this before. Like, this is not the first time. But ultimately, if Virgil would have done his bit, then that wouldn't have happened. That being said, there are going to be times where the last man in defense may make an error. You, as the goalkeeper, have to ensure that you still provide some type of blockade in front of goal. And that's where I think we failed. In general, Virgil wasn't great. But if we are discussing the second goal, because I know everyone's going to be thinking about the second goal, I really don't think it's like as much on Virgil as everyone else has made out. I think it's been really unfair analysis from all of our friends in other podcasts and media groups. The Anfield Rapper said some stuff. Most Liverpool fans that create content have been saying some stuff, and they've seemed to have blamed Virgil more than they've blamed Alisson. I would do it the other way around. That being said, Virgil wasn't great. Why was he not great? Lord knows. He seems to have a stinker versus Arsenal quite a bit, though. Remember that time the season we won the title, and then he made that error versus Saka within like the first 10 minutes. It was like down the left-hand corner.
And then Saka kind of came inside and then things.
Like, and listen, that happens with Virgil sometimes. Sometimes he not underestimates. I don't think he underestimates who he's playing against, but I think sometimes he is probably just a bit too calm. He's just a bit too relaxed. And in those kind of games, in those big time pressure moments where it's 1-1, you can't be like that. You probably need to have a bit more intensity about you. You need to be more alert. And I think sometimes he tries to allow his aura and his ways to kind of just control the game, and he can just kind of flow through it. But that wasn't the moment to do that.
I mean, we might have to have an uncomfortable conversation, guys, about the fact that Havertz has really good games against Virgil and Konate. I don't know why it is when he plays up front. He played well in both cup finals as well. But I don't want to move too far away from this second goal point, because, Krish, we've got Fahy saying that he sees Alisson as a bigger contributor to the blunder of that goal. Where do you sit on that?
I'm in complete agreement with him.
Oh, yeah? And what's your perspective here?
He's hit the nail on the head. The same situation happens in pretty much every single one of our games where the ball's left to bounce and go back to the keeper. I don't know why Alisson is racing out that far and then doing Street Fighter moves. It was bizarre. It was honestly. I
don't get right how the ball's just not far enough away from Van Dijk for you to even need to be involved. Yeah. Like Van Dijk can pick it. Van Dijk can. If you're not there, I am certain Van Dijk just kicks the ball away.
This is the thing as well, Mush. If Virgil does the correct thing, because he takes Martinelli away from it.
Yeah. And he's going sideways, right? He's not going towards the goal. He's not
going to get that ball. So there was no need for Alisson to run out in the manner that he did, in the panicked manner. That was the weird thing about it. It's always kind of. I don't want to do an Anik in any degree, but there are some weird Alisson moments in bigger games where we give away a really stupid goal, and thankfully in most of these occasions they end up in a draw, and it's usually against Man City, but it happens far too often, and it's in these situations where you're thinking, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you felt the need to run out. You are a very good keeper in these situations, but in the 1 in 100 chance it doesn't come off, it always ends up in a calamity. Yeah. And that set the exact tone for the rest of the game, where obviously for the third goal he probably could have done a lot better.
My thing is, you come out like that when the forward is in front of the ball.
Yeah. When the defenders lost the duel, basically.
That's when you come out like that
as well. Like, how many times have we seen him come out and he'll head the ball and then get some control of it, or head it out of play? He's done this a million times, but I don't know why he felt the need to run out on this occasion.
And again, I'm looking at the comments. I can see what you guys are saying. Yes, VVD could have cleared it, but there still was another line of defense before that goal. That's what I'm trying to say. There was another man that could have stopped that goal. That goal was not happening until Alisson runs past the ball.
Yeah,
factual. That's my point. And it's like, yes, I know for 98% of his games for us, he's amazing. I know the net positive in him starting for us. And I get it. He's the best keeper I've ever seen. But that game, in my opinion, was lost the moment he did that.
Mm-hmm.
It's between Virgil and him. Yes, they both share the blame. But really and truly, in my heart, that goal went in because Alisson ran past the ball.
We were growing into that
that.
half, right? Like in terms
Bro,
of
the 10 minutes after we started the second half, we were growing into it. The left-hand side, we were just bombing at them. Diaz was getting through. Jones had the shot. He cut in, just went past the post. We were purring. There was no need for it. It was 2 errors, but I think the bigger error on that part was Ali.
Yeah,
I'm convinced now. I'm convinced. I didn't watch the whole game back live. I couldn't bear to do it. At the time, it was Virgil mostly, but after listening to you guys, yeah, I hear it.
The thing is, Grizz, Alisson creates chaos that doesn't need to exist. That's the big thing. Like, it becomes a duel between an attacker and defender. Suddenly, a keeper becomes part of the equation. But anyway, we move forward. There were more performances. I think this is the most interesting discussion because I'm not even lying. I have heard 50-50 in terms of opinions when it comes to Alexis Mac Allister. I have heard 50% say that he played really well, given the circumstances. I've heard 50% say that he struggled. Grizz, I know you waited quite a while to give us the Virgil thoughts, but I want to come straight to you on this Alexis Mac Allister. Watching, what did you think?
Easily our best player on the pitch. Easily.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I think he continued his great form. I think obviously he was massively let down by Gravenberch. I don't think Curtis had a great game. And obviously the rest of the forwards were ineffective. But I thought he was the only shining light for me. But I think he's in real good form. And long may it continue because we bloody need him now.
So you didn't feel the ball being picked off him a few times was kind of indicative?
That's everyone around him as well, options and everything. And then when there's no options, you try to do a bit more, and obviously, you can get picked off. I'm not saying he was great. I'm saying he was the best out of a bad bunch. He was easily our best.
Pixelated Pigeon makes a great point because I think that needs to be highlighted straight away.
Absolutely, they shied away. Gravenberch and Jones. Jones sometimes got involved, and I thought he needs to do more of that. Again, for me, tactical setup. The best part of the period of the game was when Jones and Mac Allister formed a semi-double pivot.
Yeah. We could have played a 10 in front of that, and then just
like they did. They played Jorginho and Rice, and then Odegaard was given a free role to go and press who he wants, how he wants.
I mean, Harold's asking, Chris, we've got Harold asking, would you move him from the 6 for Endo until Szoboszlai is back, or would you keep him there because he's still developing?
Keep him. Ever since he's come back from the injury, everything's clicked. He's come back from the injury and he looks like Pirlo. It's actually ridiculous.
But this is it. I agree with you, me personally, because I'm not a huge Endo fan. All right, I know he's been fantastic for us in the last couple of games. When I say fantastic, I'm just going with the flow of everyone. He's been good. All right, come on. He's not been fantastic. Right, he's been good. All right. But what do you do with Szoboszlai? Maybe I'm segueing. Maybe I'm trying to segue into the talking point of the Szoboszlai blow. Let's say Szoboszlai is going to miss the next 3-4 games.
What do you do? What do you do, guys?
Well, this is it. I mean, you have the conversation of do you do, because let's be honest, Thiago could barely play 10 minutes at the weekend, and he very much looked like a footballer who hadn't played football for a calendar year. So
that was a guy who was at the Mendy that I was at just before he actually
he was the uncle on the Chivas. Let's temper expectations for that one. He may come back into his rhythm in March and April, which is ironically when you need him the most. So you could do Endo, Jones, Mac. You could do Mac, Jones, Trent if Conor Bradley comes back.
Does it look more double pivoty to you, or is it still a 3 going across?
So this was the interesting thing about the second half. He moved more towards a 4-2-3-1.
Which I liked, by the way.
Yeah. So it's all about your shape. I think our shape out of possession needs to be refined without Szoboszlai, because that's the biggest thing. He's so key when we're out of possession in terms of his energy and how we go about winning the ball back. So how do you replace it on that right hand side?
It's a big physical drop, isn't it? Going down to Elliot or Gravenberch, right?
Elliot, bless him, he tries, but he's shown he's more effective off the bench just because of how his football IQ is from observing the game. So he's better in those 20, 25 minute spurts. It is a complicated question. It's no doubt. So I'm keen to see what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, go on, guys. I mean, Szoboszlai, if he is missing, you lose. I think everyone, right, who doesn't support Liverpool always talk about what you lose in terms of, he takes great shots and stuff like that. I feel like only Liverpool fans talk about his defensive contribution, his energy contribution. I mean, what's the solution without without Szoboszlai to you guys? It's certainly not the name I accidentally said. Yeah, go on.
What is the solution? So Endo flew back yesterday. The solution, really and truly, I think against Burnley. Again, guys, listen. I know Harvey Elliott probably isn't the one that you want to put your hat on for this one, but I think against the Burnley, you can get away with a McAllister, Elliott, and Curtis Jones midfield, right? But I think for the remainder of the games, when you're going to come up against teams like Forest, who have like a good dominant midfield and stuff, Endo Mac is probably the best base, and you have Jones with them too. Jones can progress the ball forward. If Endo is there, McAllister can progress the ball forward as well, because we know that he can do that. That's probably the best trio to go with. You then bring on Thiago with like 20 minutes to go to kind of settle the game, depending on what the scoreline is. I think that's probably the best route to go down. Really and truly, I can't see how else it works. This Trent in midfield stuff and Bradley in right back, that's fantasy. Like that's like FIFA kind of discussions. I still haven't seen enough to think Trent can just play in midfield like that. In certain situations where he needs to change a game, cool. Yes, I get it. In an actual game for 90 minutes, still not sure. So for that reason, let the midfielders midfield and let the defenders defend, and Trent, whatever he's doing, the right back. That's how I would do it.
Okay, interesting. Grizz, anything different on that? Fahi's kind of gone for a Endo Mac, but Mac frees up a bit, and then I think it's
all about Thiago's fitness levels in the next week or so.
Oh, really? You think he has a key role straight away?
I don't think we've got much choice. Again, if his fitness levels are 70%, 75%. Now, that was not a cameo to judge him, or not a cameo to base anything off. All of your analogies of whatever he looked like. Yeah, true. But this is Thiago Alcantara, ultimately. And this is his swan song, ultimately. And if he's 75%, he has to play a pivotal role. Now, pardon the pun, but pivotal role. Him and McAllister potentially is a ridiculous pivot. Maybe not balance-wise, because they're both much of a muchness, but game intelligence-wise, experience-wise, and controlling-wise, if Thiago is 75% fit, you won't get a better.
What about physicality-wise, though? Because if we're going Burnley away, Brentford away, that's going to be important.
Well, we've got Burnley at home, and it's not that Burnley. It's not that Burnley. It's just not that Burnley anymore.
Yeah.
So I think Elliott plays against Burnley, because we could do the Elliott thing. With what Fahi was saying, playing Endo there and McAllister as a double pivot, and then Curtis Jones. I don't know. Curtis Jones hasn't got that Szoboszlai thrust in him, like the dynamism Szoboszlai has. He has scored goals, Curtis Jones. I just still think he lacks. I don't know what you guys think. I think he lacks the final pass, the final shot, which Szoboszlai has. So
I disagree. I disagree. I disagree. I think if I had to bank on one of the two to give me more quality of the final third, I'm banking on Jones. I'm banking on Curtis over Szoboszlai. Genuinely, and that's not to say Szoboszlai doesn't have the ability. He bloody clearly does have the ability, but from what we've seen this season, I think Jones is the one that I trust more. Energy, you're right. Dynamism, you're right. Szoboszlai is the one, and Jones can't replicate that. But in terms of quality, I'm going with Jones.
Quality, I trust. I'm with you in terms of. I think we see Szoboszlai do a lot of things wrong throughout a game in terms of execution. It's fine because when he gets it right, it's special. But Jones, moment in, moment out, probably produces less special things, but in a more dependable way.
If a ball falls at the edge of the box, or if I'm absolutely banking on Szoboszlai, then Curtis Jones.
But what? Okay, that's one scenario. What about Grizz when we're building up or we're on the counter and you need someone to trust someone?
This is my point. But look at the pivot I picked. Why have you bypassed my pivot? I've picked you Thiago and McAllister to do that. I don't need another person who's going to caress the ball and relax the ball.
But it's not about that. What I'm saying is if Thiago if Thiago and Mac, if Thiago and Mac are passing the ball and releasing great passes, what I'm talking about is if a midfielder is breaking with them, the third midfielder, in my head, in that situation where he's breaking with them, I would trust Jones to do the right things on the attack more than I would trust Szoboszlai.
I think you're basing it on his last couple of games before he got injured, where he was a bit.
You're sick.
I am.
Chris, I
think.
What does Jones have to do to be put into these conversations?
Man? No, Jones is one of my players of the season. But in the role that I'm saying, Jones has been check this out. Jones has been uncoached out of that. What you guys are you're suggesting, and Fahi's actually suggesting. The attacking midfielder. Curtis Jones is not our attacking midfielder, guys.
Agree.
Why are you talking Curtis Jones 2 years ago? He's been coached out of that. So now suddenly you're saying, just like Trent's been uncoached or coached out of being a marauding fullback, now you're saying play Curtis Jones out of position as well and use him as a 10 and a floaty guy. No, Szoboszlai was bought for that role. So why not play the guy that you bought for that role?
Because he's injured.
In my opinion.
But he's injured. So now what?
But we were saying scenario-wise, like,
forget the scenario. So now let's go back to reality. Yeah. What do we do now?
Elliot Jones and Maka, realistically, I was just saying if Thiago can prove himself fit, ultimately, that could be a formation we could fall upon. Yeah, for Burnley and for the next few weeks, I think Elliot deserves a crack at the whip, so to speak.
So loads of interesting comments there. We've got things like people disagreeing. We've got people saying that, let's
go through them sometime.
No such thing as uncoached. By the way, Grizz, what's the situation on the likes, Grizz?
I haven't checked, man, but I guarantee it's poor because people would need prompting. I don't know why. Lazy
please
like Trent, maybe.
Guys, please like what you're watching right now. You've been with us for an hour and 14 minutes. I beg you to please like this stream. Thank you.
With Grizz, I disagree with Moish. That's fine.
That's the one you choose to share. Yeah,
no, I'm cheering.
Yeah, of course.
I'm very fair. If there's anyone that should be out,
let's see what the comments say. Oh, Mush, they're saying this about you.
It should be about Donald Trent. Both have been injured. No such thing as uncoached. He is asked to play a role. Jones is a Wijnaldum type, good until you get to the edge of the box. There you go.
Oh, that's cap. Come on.
Guys, what is Szoboszlai? What is Szoboszlai? Stevie G, yeah?
Agree.
Honestly,
same guy giving the ball away 15 times and breaking down the track.
We're a bunch of fantasists in this fan base. I swear to God, honestly. We only see the good, never the bad.
Szoboszlai skincare is fooling people, man. I don't know what's going on.
Wow, I'm not having this Szoboszlai slander, man.
It's not slander. It's reality.
It's reality. Honestly, I see.
The reality is it's not the reality. The reality is in his first goal, he scored how many goals and how many assists? That's the reality.
Like 3.
Exactly, all stunning match winners. How long did it take?
Bro, you thought you were saying something with that. You scored 3 goals to 6.
Yeah,
you ain't done shit.
But look at the quality of the goals.
Okay, Grizz, he's played 30 matches.
Those goals,
we can't say 3 goals. We can't do that.
Of course we can. How long did it take? Someone find me. Someone
Bro,
find me.
that's like me saying. That's like me saying. Fuck it, Endo has to start every game. Look at the quality of his goals. He scored 2
because
screamers.
I tell you why. Because it's
yeah.
because ably assisted by his defensive numbers. He's been the complete
we all
midfielder in
value
a
him.
Klopp mind.
No, wait.
We value. Listen, I think what you've misunderstood, Grizz.
Yeah.
I did not say.
They
Curtis
want Hendo
Jones
back.
should
It's true. They want Hendo back, guys.
No, we don't.
guys want
No, we
Hendo
don't.
back.
Harold, you say that again, you're getting blocked off the street.
If you're not seeing Szoboszlai's output, and I don't mean just goals and assists, in terms of how many counter pressing he does and how many breaks he attacks.
We've said defensively, he is the biggest miss.
I think what you've misunderstood, Grizz, and what some other people may be misunderstanding is that you're thinking what we're saying in this situation is Curtis Jones replicates what Szoboszlai does for us. No, we understand that no one can replicate what Szoboszlai does for this 11. What we're saying is, based off the fact that Szoboszlai is injured, we need to pivot and do something else. For that reason, what can we do? Well, in this situation, you've got the options of one midfielder who can't run, right? Another midfielder that's just come back and can't play more than 10 minutes. You've got another one that's 5'2" and can only use his left foot. So what do we do? You've got Endo, Mac, and Jones.
We all agree Curtis Jones is an absolute starter. No one's denying that.
Yeah.
What we're having a debate around is the role Curtis Jones is best deployed in,
but
in our opinions.
Grizz,
is that right?
Yeah, agree. But what me and Fahy are probably trying to say, right, Chris? I'm so sorry. You're just like watching madness.
I'm enjoying it, man.
But what we're trying to say with Szoboszlai, Grizz, is what we shouldn't lie about is Szoboszlai defensively. I trust wholeheartedly. I think it's a huge miss every time he doesn't play. But what we shouldn't lie about is thinking that every time Szoboszlai gets the ball, there's some mad quality going on. There is quality.
But who said that?
No,
that's a strawman argument. Who has said that though?
No. Plenty of the comments are saying we don't rate Szoboszlai and things like that. What I'm addressing is the fact that
the comments are saying like you're laughing at Szoboszlai's attributes.
I'm laughing.
You did. Well, let's rewind the tapes. You laughed at his attributes.
What me and Fahy
I laughed at you.
I'm gonna clip it up. I saw both of you laughing.
Go on, I dare you. You asked me to clip it up for you.
I'm gonna. No, but check this out. The ultimate question we were trying to get to is Curtis Jones' role while Szoboszlai is out. So why are we still stuck on Szoboszlai?
I'm just addressing the fact that people need to be honest about the fact that when Szoboszlai receives the ball, he does also, like, we're talking about Szoboszlai like he's De Bruyne and Curtis Jones is Ryan Yates at Forest. It's not that. Like, Szoboszlai is erratic, Jones is smooth but less creative. So you get something with Jones and you get more special things.
That's why the combination is
of course, but the combination isn't available, which is what we're saying. Krish. It's so funny that this is all going to happen. Chris, in terms of what we can do, at the end of the day, Szoboszlai might not be available for a few weeks. But I also think the most honest part of our discussion has been about how much this right side has suffered. And which allows me to segue into the fact that Salah is becoming available again. We've got this weird problem now where Trent is amazing, but Bradley has been amazing. So what do we do there? And we have our senior right centre midfielder of Szoboszlai not available. So what can we do on that right side to be a better team? Because it was the most important part of our team literally weeks ago.
Boy, if I had those answers, I'd be on the coaching staff.
I believe you can be. That's why I ask you this.
You get Salah back, you get the width. That's the important thing. You get someone who's going to bring more joy to that right-hand side. So you can put Trent back in the inverted role and you need someone to replicate the... So this is the conversation about Szoboszlai. I think it's what Grizz has been trying to get at. It's the progressive elements of what he brings there. So it's the progressive carries. It's all of the alert stuff. It's the key passes too. So you can replicate that with Elliott. And obviously the synergy that Elliott's got with Salah will help on that right-hand side. So that's why I think it's got to be for that right-hand side for the time being. Now, the interesting question is, what do you do with the front line in particular when Salah's back? So who drops out? Because it can't be Jota.
See, amongst our conversation, Chris is actually brought out the joker or the wild card or the jack or the ace in Mohamed Salah's back in the next game or two. So that totally changes the conversation us guys have just debated or argued, wasted for the last 5 minutes, because that changes the dynamic completely.
Because of where Salah occupies the pitch, right? I mean, Shane has mentioned above, I don't know, Chris, what you think of that. He's saying that I think Bradley has benefited from Salah being out. Salah will occupy wide space.
And Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
I think we've played, hear this one out. I think we've played or tried to replicate Bradley as the Szoboszlai in that.
So I think it's the way around now. I think Szoboszlai benefited from Trent being out.
Oh. Everyone's throwing in some Spanish today, boy. Chris,
when the inverted stuff came more into prominence, that's where we saw Szoboszlai's game not regress, but it wasn't as impactful.
Go on. I'm so interested in hearing this. Go on. So ultimately, you are saying that to get the best type of Trent Alexander-Arnold that we're seeing right now comes at the cost of seeing the best type of Szoboszlai. Do you think there's a balance we can find in that, or do you think that's going to be a kind of pendulum that we're always going to swing from one side to the other?
I don't think if he is to become the next manager, you'll see the benefit if Alonso comes in, because you can stick Szoboszlai as one of the 10s, and then Trent's got more natural width, so they're far removed from each other and they're in different areas, so they have different impacts.
I hear that, but I mean,
at the moment, it's just difficult because you've got Szoboszlai doing a lot of the running around, and then Trent's more of the conductor piece of it, and Salah's just Salah, so he can operate his magic.
Let's just assume. Check this one out. I think we should end it like. Let's just assume, because Szoboszlai's out for a couple of weeks, Salah's back within a week, right? Based on that, let's pick a team, because let's not only pick a team for Burnley, Brentford, and Chelsea in the League Cup final is our next 3 games, guys. Contrasting fucking games or what? Like stylistically, physics, everything about them.
Is Salah fully fit now, by the way? When we pick
within a week, he will be.
Okay, cool.
By the way, let's just say for Brentford already, Gravenberch is going to play because of the physicality.
But we can't see. This is where, if it goes tits up, Jurgen Klopp wouldn't have learned his lesson. But so far, Jurgen Klopp has learned his lessons very quickly this season. Because last season, Brentford away, I nearly walked out after seeing the lineup at the stadium. I walked in and I saw Harvey Elliott starting. I saw I can't remember the whole team. I said, we're getting smashed today. To my mates, and we got smashed. We got annihilated. If we go to Brentford, I don't know. But what's our options? Again, we've just discussed our options.
And the thing is with Brentford, I mean, I watched that Brentford City game on Monday night. Jensen's running off the ball was absolutely murdering City. And City, I would say, have a better shape than we do. So it's going to take a lot of discipline for us to stop what City are doing. Brentford are doing. But let's talk about that lineup then. In goal, has Alisson done anything bad enough for us to take him out? Anyone? No one's trying to see Kelleher.
No. Listen. Go on, Chris.
I was going to say, we've seen the Kelleher performances this season, so no.
Okay, check this one out. Okay, let's assume, God willing, Burnley at home is a formality. We're going to win that, okay? Let's assume. And I think it's right to assume. Otherwise, forget any title bollocks talk, right? Brentford away. Let's all pick a team for Brentford away, because that will assume Salah's back. And that will assume Szoboszlai misses that one. So Brentford away with the squad that we've got, which is minus only Matip. Help me out here. Matip. Endo's back.
Thiago's still back.
So Thiago will have another weeks of training, another 2 weeks, because this week and another week. So let's assume Thiago, well, it's up to you if you want to pick him, but Thiago's back, everyone's back, only Matip's out, Szoboszlai's out.
Okay.
Brentford
11's
away.
quite easy. It's easy.
Okay, go for it. You're confident, go first.
Cool. So you have Alisson in goal. You have Trent at right back. You have Ibu. You have Virgil. You have Robbo. Okay. I would start Robbo against Brentford because you need the width. You need someone that can deal with the width. In midfield, you would have, purely because of the physicality, you would have to go with the midfield I've been saying already. So it'd be Endo, Mac, and Jones. Up front, you would have Salah, Jota, and Nunes. That's it.
Okay, Krish, any input in that?
I'm looking at the reverse fixture. He started Gakpo in midfield.
Twice he's done that, I think, against Brentford, if I'm not mistaken.
Guys, hold on 1 second. The people in the comments aren't understanding. This is for the Brentford game, not for the Burnley game. For the Brentford game. So this is in 2 weeks' time, guys. Yeah, guys, you guys aren't listening. So, like, listen to what we're saying here. Brentford away, 2 weeks.
Okay, Krish, anything there? I already know that I personally think that when we play that Nunes on the left wing kind of thing, I like having Gomez at left back because he's not as marauding. So he's a bit more protective. Because we go long to Nunes anyway and release him in that channel, I wouldn't want Robbo to come into that game. I would rather him play in that Burnley game where we need to overload areas of the pitch because they'll probably sit. What about you? And the Trent one. Is Bradley suddenly out the team?
It's a mad decision, bro.
Yeah.
It could be controversial.
This is it, man. When you're playing like he has, it's hard to actually take him out of contention. Because if he's available, I'd probably play him against Burnley this weekend.
But Brentford away next week.
I think you have to play Trent. You just do. Just for how we're talking about it, the builder from the back, they're going to be trying to get on it. It's midfield's the only conversation.
Oh, you're doing Robbo as well?
I'd do Robbo.
Oh, I think Robbo has a lot of cachet he needs to build up to take Gomez out of this team. Honestly,
Gomez
doesn't need to start every game, bro. Like,
yeah, but he's not starting. But Mush is not starting him tomorrow. I agree with Mush. I'm playing Robbo tomorrow. Burnley.
Yeah, on the weekend. But okay, so does that mean Robbo doesn't start the cup final for you guys?
I wouldn't start him at the cup final. I wouldn't start him in the cup final.
No, I wouldn't play him in the cup final. Gomez plays the cup final.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he plays both. We're in crunch time now, so it's not about, for me, like resting and stuff.
Wow.
So Robbo doesn't. Anything in midfield for you, Krish?
I'd keep it what Farhi did. But I think that's where your Gakpo in midfield maybe comes into play.
Oh.
You're right. He's right. He is right.
Yeah, double pivot means Gakpo might have a better role, though, like a healthier role in the team where he can just drive up the pitch.
Personally, I sorry, finish your team. Sorry.
No.
And up front, I'd do Nunes on the left, Jota through the middle, Salah on the right.
Yeah, I think front three we're all pretty agreed. I don't know.
We all agreed on that. I'm doing Jones and McAllister.
Double pivot.
Yeah, and Gakpo. And then I'm doing Gomez still. I'm keeping Gomez for Brentford away. And I'm potentially bringing in Robertson for the final.
What are you doing at right back, Grizz?
Yeah,
you're gonna kill a young boy's dreams, or you're gonna bring in what you know.
Does Bradley
You guys are sick. I'm sorry.
No, I haven't.
Over Bradley.
No, wait. It's a debate. Yeah, it's a question. It's
not a debate. It's not a debate.
It's absolutely a debate.
No, bro, come on. Hold on one second.
For which game? For which game?
For any game, man. If you got Trent or Bradley available, you're starting Trent at right back, man. What are you saying?
You literally said 20 minutes ago Bradley was supposed to start.
Yeah, he was. Because Trent's not fit. Like, come on, man. What are we saying?
Trent is fit. The reason he played is
he wasn't fit on Sunday.
Gomez could have played right back. Robertson could have played left back.
Oh,
Gomez could have played right back.
No. Trent wasn't fit on. Wasn't fully fit, man. The hour was way too prescribed. He came off on the dot. Like
what I'm saying, if he wasn't fit, Gomez should have played right back then. And Robertson should have played left back.
But why would you do that when Gomez has pocketed Saka for 2 games prior? That makes no sense.
Why would you play unfit Trent
if Saka's the
against
best
one of
player
the
for
quickest?
Arsenal,
Why would you play unfit Trent if you know he's unfit against the quickest, one of the most quickest left wingers?
Risk versus reward.
And the fact that the rest of your right hand side is depleted.
You're missing something, which is that we have now seen 2 games in a row where Gomez was fantastic against Saka. Are you really going to move Gomez onto the other side?
I think Bradley, out of the next 3 games, Bradley definitely starts 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that means there's a conversation then. If that's a maybe, there's a conversation there. Because I think he starts one of the 3.
But I think when Trent is... No.
Which one?
I'm saying which one, like he's going to rest for 2 and then start.
Okay. Does he start one of the next 3 or does Trent start all next 3? Mush, you go first. Does Trent start all 3?
Hold on. Are you asking me what I think should be done? No, are you asking me what I think should be done or what I think Klopp will do?
Shall we ask both?
Okay. I think personally, I would start him against Burnley and then let Trent start the other 2.
Yeah.
I think what Klopp will do is start Trent in all 3, but because Bradley is very good, you don't have to play 90 minutes of Trent.
So you think Klopp is going to start him in all 3, basically, but you would start him in 1.
He's vice captain. Cool. You can't suddenly drop the vice captain because some kid has been doing well.
Cool. Right. So Fahi, what do you think?
Okay, so if I had to make a guess, now I don't know whether Bradley is training again or not. So do we have any information on this? Because you're asking me to make a prediction of something I don't know whether he's.
None of us know that what's going to happen. We're just giving our opinion.
Let's assume Bradley is available. Let's assume
he's available. What I would do is I'd start Bradley against Burnley because it's at home, right? It's an easier fixture. The other 2 games, I would start Trent. That's how I would do it. Because by then, Trent would have had enough time to build up his fitness. You can bring him on at 60 minutes again against Burnley. And he'll be purring slowly but surely. That's how I would do it. So 1-2.
What do you think Klopp does?
It depends on if Bradley's training or not.
We just assumed he is.
Oh, okay. So then I'd say the same thing.
So you think Klopp's going to play him in 1 out of the 3?
If he's training, yes.
Mush thinks he's going to play him in all 3. Krish, yours and what Klopp will do?
I think Klopp's going to play Trent in all 3.
And what would you do?
I'd probably play Trent against Burnley.
That is so interesting.
I'd play Bradley against Brentford.
I think Brentford and Bournemouth are quite similar, and Bradley did really well in that kind of environment, to be fair.
They set up quite similar.
I can see that.
It's going to be intriguing. I tell you, there is a debate, though, right? Why he's saying there's no debate? There is an absolute debate.
I mean, I don't think there's a debate for the cup final. I can say that much.
No, of course not. Senior player.
Grizz, what I'm trying to say, Grizz. Let's not see. You're doing a Piers Morgan. Yeah. Let me clarify.
Wow.
You are, and he's doing a Piers Morgan, and he's got his.
Can't explain.
His viewers. What I'm trying to tell you, and you're smirking away because you know you've twisted.
I haven't done anything. I've literally word for word what you said. There's no debate. Yes, I said there is a debate.
Based off the circumstances in this current situation, right? That's what I'm saying. In general, a fully fit Trent versus a fully fit Connor Bradley, you're starting Trent.
Yeah, but we're not having that debate right now. We're talking about.
But that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Why was you saying that when we're having this debate?
Because what I'm trying to tell you is the way you were talking is as if it's an actual discussion. There's no discussion between Trent and Bradley. That's all I was saying.
It's a discussion in the moment. It's a discussion in the moment.
Of course, there's no debate. Otherwise, then, of course,
exactly.
That's like saying Mohamed. That's like Mohamed Salah. Does
saying.
Mohamed Salah come back in the team? There's no debate. But that's like saying Mohamed Salah, like comparing anyone to Mohamed Salah. There's no debate. He has to start. Trent, of course. But right this week, 3 games, the next 3 games, I think Klopp starts him in 1.
You think Trent? Hold on. You think Bradley starts in 1 in the next 3?
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think the same. Because we were discussing the Brentford game in 2 weeks' time, I'm like, come on, like, let's not be silly. Because I'm thinking Bradley, if he could play all 3 games, he would start on Saturday. He won't start versus Brentford.
I'd keep Gomez
That's what I was getting at.
I'd keep Gomez. I'm with Christian Fahy. I'm with Mush.
No, with Mush.
I'm with Mush on that one. I think Gomez has been exemplary. I know he had a bit of a rough game against Arsenal. I think he's been exemplary.
Can I just say one thing?
Especially with Nunes on the left, then I'd start Gomez. Yes, I agree with that one as well.
Can I just say one thing? And I watched Conor Bradley live. I saw it live in the flesh. I saw the quality and the ability he clearly has. I hope he's going to be a superstar for us, because the way he took his opportunity in the past 6 games have been fantastic. But the way this fan base is overselling him versus Trent right now is genuinely making me sick.
Even calling it versus,
and shall I tell you why? You cannot turn around on one end and be like, Trent is the best right back in the world. Who's Greece James? All this nonsense. And then turn around and have an own debate in your fan base and be like, oh, Conor Bradley should start ahead of him.
I'll tell you why that debate might catch traction. The fact that Trent himself
midfield
wants to play in midfield. That's where the conversation will develop in the next 12 months, I think, and I believe.
In the future, I agree.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Not right now. We're talking a man has played 6 games. It's crazy. So you're telling me
magnificently though.
Of course. Hey, bro, like I said, he's been fantastic.
So you can only judge a player of what you're seeing. If all 6 games have been magnificent, then you've got to raise your eyebrows, especially if he was lauded in the Championship as player of the season. So you're thinking the gradual progression, just like Trent's gradual progression was wow. This guy is on that trajectory. Some may say he's on a higher trajectory at that stage because Trent was pulled in.
But realistically, if a guy has 5 assists and a goal in 6 games, yeah, that's not sustainable. That's like the peak of any player, including Trent Alexander-Arnold's trajectory, right? Like,
that's the bonus, though, on top of his defending, Mush.
Agreed.
That's the caviar.
Yeah. Agreed.
So his defending has been exemplary as well.
I think the only place where we might get to
5 assists and a goal, that's ridiculous.
But it's amazing. I want to ask Krish, are we getting to a place, and there's nothing wrong with it, where we accept what Trent comes with defensively, knowing what he can do with the ball, and Bradley being good as a conventional all-round fullback, which will, he's a lot more. You can see he's played a 4-4-2 at right back probably his whole life. Are you seeing more of a trustworthy option there that we might pick at times, like we used to do with an Arbeloa, for example?
It's new toy syndrome to a degree, and I think every single fan base is guilty of it. We're doing it with all of their players. United are doing it with Mino at the moment. Good player, but kind of temper the expectations. But I think where I'm looking for it, we've been talking about, would we need to buy a new right back in the summer if we do move Trent to midfield? I'm looking from the point of view of maybe we don't. That's just how I'm looking at it. He's a very good situational right back, and he's coming in. He's done a really good job. Again, we can say the exact same thing for when Tsimikas came in and covered for Robbo. Did a very good job. And that's just how I'm looking at it. Anything we get from Conor Bradley this season is an absolute bonus.
Yeah. It's nothing that should be depended on, basically. Is
for sure.
Do you know what's killing me? Mish, I just want to say one thing. We need to understand that before this past month, Trent has been favourite for PFA Player of the Year, and now we're saying that he shouldn't get into the 11. Like this is what I'm trying to get across. Like, are you guys listening to what is being said and reading what is being said right now? Like, I get it. We love an underdog story. We love wonder kids coming through the team, but come on, a bit of realism, please, come on. I want Conor Bradley to start some games, and I'm sure he will. I'm not saying he's not going to start any more games now that Trent is back, but there's not an actual debate, please.
That's okay. Cool. Well, with the request for no more debates, I shall follow suit and thank everyone. The comments have been popping today. If you haven't left a like as your parting gift, I'm incredibly disappointed because I think we've had a great discussion. Everyone's had so much to say. Guys, we were thinking about what should we do? The agenda kind of formed itself. I thought it was a lot of fun today, Grizz. What do you reckon?
Of course, always does, man. Always does. You know what I mean? Debates.
Yeah.
Grizz is a troublemaker, man.
There's always
Nonsense
a
debates
debate.
out of nowhere.
There's always a debate. Always a debate to be had.
Yeah. But I want to thank everyone. Krish, insightful as always. Fahi, thank you for your adamant nature on this Trent debate. And Grizz, I hope the commission for the Szoboszlai Corp campaign is paying you well. I can say that much. I've been Mush. I want to thank you all. And we will be back, I think, just for all of your reference. Firstly, make sure you're following Kopend and listening to the pod that we just released today. The Patreon is fantastic. We do stuff throughout the week. And when it comes to Kopend Khanage, I think Wednesdays is going to be our slot. Hopefully seeing the ops kind of lose on the Champions League feed as well. But yeah, Fahi, anything further?
No, that is it. Just, yeah, exactly what you said, Mush.
Awesome. So KopEndFracas, Football Khanage, follow, support, and get stuck in. Thank you very much.